Okay, so today at JIPS, we are very happy to have Takashi Kumagai from Kyoto University, who will speak about periodic homogenization of non-symmetric Levi-type processes. Please, Takashi.
So thank you for the introduction. So first of all, let me thank the organizers, especially Naomi and Ohad, for the invitation. I'm very happy to give a talk in this Israeli seminar. So I just send through chat the URL of my slide. So since there are many formulas in my talk, please download the PDF and have a look of the file. That will definitely help for understanding the talk. Okay, so my talk is about the periodic homogenization on of non-symmetric Levi-type processes, and this is a joint work with Xin-Chen, Xin-Chen and Jian Wang, my collaborators. My Chinese collaborators. And the paper has just recently accepted in Annals of Probability. So this is a talk about homogenization. So let me start with very briefly the idea. The idea of the homogenization of diffusions, and then I'll gradually focus on my topic. So let's consider the diffusion divergence form, where Aij is okay in the most classical case. Aij is so-called uniformly elliptic, meaning the matrix AX is bounded from above and below by constant times identity identity matrix in the as a quadric form. Then there is a corresponding process, and we scale the corresponding process in a usual diffusive scale. Then the corresponding scaled generator is like this. And the homogenization is to consider the limit of epsilon goes to 0. So in a sense, the meaning is that the original process has various inhomogeneity in the sense that the Aijx is inhomogeneous. Solutions of the resolvent equation for epsilon converge to that of the solution for resolvent solution. And in terms of probability, of course, it is a weak convergence of x epsilon to some limiting process, which is usually a Brownian motion. And okay, the most classical problem is the periodic homogenization, where Aijx is just a periodic function. And okay, that is in a sense first starting point. And then more complicated or interesting object is when the object is random in a random media. So that is a stochastic homogenization. Namely, Aij is a random media. So here omega, is express the randomness of the media. And okay, usually we assume that Aij is the the randomness of the media in terms of random of the media. The shift operator is stationary and ergodic. And okay.
So Takashi, it means that there is a random phase. The Aij's are fixed, but there's a random phase or shift for each of them.
Yes. So Aij itself is random, and it is stationary and ergodic with respect to this shift operator tau x. That is what I mean. So this is a stochastic homogenization is to consider the random media. Random media is given by Aij.
Aij's themselves are random?
Exactly. Yes.
Or is
yes.
it?
Yeah, it is a random. Yeah, random. Yeah, express the randomness of the media. So,
okay. Okay.
And it is invariant under translations. It is stationary and ergodic under translation. That is. But I will not discuss about the stochastic homogenization in my talk today. Okay, so Okay, when we consider symmetric diffusions, there are a lot of results known by now. For instance, stochastic homogenization, where assuming some moment condition of Aij to prove the quenched invariance principle has been obtained. For instance, there are results by Chiarini and Deutscher, and there are results, very recent results by Vela and Schaffner. Those people obtained the quenched invariance principle under some moment condition of Aij. But that requires the operator to be nicely symmetric. And my talk is more about the non-symmetric case. And in the divergence form, in the diffusion case, the corresponding periodic homogenization has been studied since around 70s by Bensus and Lyons, and also from the probabilistic viewpoint by Papanicolaou, Baladan, and later on there are many people. And okay, so there we consider drift BI, and okay, AIX and BX are both periodic, and let's assume for in the most classical case, Aij being uniformly elliptic. Then by the scaling is usual, but because of the drift term, we need to recenter the process. Otherwise, it doesn't converge in general. So the recentering order is expressed here. So we shift by epsilon inverse B bar. So B bar is the average of B. So by this averaging, recentering with this order, it converges to Brownian motion. And okay, and but it's not a, I mean, it's not a Brownian motion with identity matrix, but or the Aij. You have to correct the coefficient in this way, where using psi, which is a solution of the Poisson equation given by B minus B bar. So this psi is called the corrector. So with these corrections, I mean the limiting object, the Aij, the limiting generator is no longer Aij, but with this correction. So that is a classical result. And so in my talk, what we'll discuss is corresponding non-symmetric Levy operator case. I mean, corresponding homogenization for the non-symmetric Levy type operators. So, okay, here is a comparison. For the diffusion operator case, as I said, generator is the divergence part plus drift part. So instead of this divergence part, we consider the classical, I mean, Levy type operator. So when kappa is constant and pi dz is z to the minus, z to the minus d minus alpha dz, then the corresponding operator is alpha, I mean, corresponding process is alpha stable. So this is the operator of alpha stable with drift. That is operator. And well, I mean, of course, we consider more general situation. So pi is a kind of, you know, globally it is square integrable, and locally it is integrable, such Levy measure. And B is a periodic operator. And kappa is also periodic with respect to x. So we consider such operator and consider the homogenization problem. Okay, so that is a question. So let me first explain a typical example of our main results. And then in the next section, we'll give a more general statement and give an idea of the proof. That is the structure of my talk. So the very typical example is when, as I said, when the, okay, AZDZ corresponds to pi DZ in the previous slide. This slide, pi DZ corresponds to AZDZ. So we consider the case when AX is locally alpha1 stable and globally alpha stable, where alpha is any order. Alpha1 has to be slightly restrictive. I will explain the reason later in the next section. But in this example, just consider the, well, you can put alpha1 equals alpha when alpha is between 1 and 2. In that case, it is alpha stable corresponding part. The first part is alpha stable process. And B is periodic, and the kappa is periodic and bounded from above and below. So let me remark that if we define, okay, so I write B epsilon here, and B epsilon is defined like this, and B0 is defined only AX, AZ has a finite moment. Okay, so consider such operator and let's discuss the homogenization, namely the scaling limit of the corresponding process. And in fact, depending on alpha, we have various results. So let's consider, I mean, in fact, under these assumptions, there is a corresponding strong Markov process, which we denote XT. And as before, I write B bar to be the average of Bx over the torus. Okay, because they are periodic, we consider instead of RD, consider we can consider Bx to be on the torus because of the periodicity. And we define B epsilon bar as the average of B epsilon, where B epsilon is okay. Maybe I forgot to write down the definition. B epsilon is the average of GAZ over where G is between 1 and epsilon, 1 over epsilon. That is B epsilon. So this is the integration of the first moment, but restricted to the region between 1 and 1 over epsilon. Okay, so the scaling is okay, so when I'm sorry, I forgot to write. This should be when alpha is between 0 and 2. So I forgot to write at the beginning. So the first case is when alpha is between 0 and 2. So in that case, the natural scaling is alpha stable scaling. In fact, okay, regardless of the small time, because we are looking at long time behavior, as a limit, what is effective is this alpha. Okay, so when alpha is between 0 and 2, the natural scaling is alpha stable scaling. So that's why I put alpha here. And when alpha is between 0 and 1, we don't need to recentering. We just put this scaling as y epsilon. But when alpha is bigger than or equal to 1, then we need the scaling, I mean decentering in this way. So that is that is a difference. So there is a difference appears at the alpha equals 1. Then the corresponding, I mean, the yt epsilon converge to alpha stable process with a coefficient k bar, which is the average over k. So that is the first result. This is the kind of a stable regime. In the stable regime, we need to recentering when alpha is bigger than or equal to 1. And when alpha equals 2, this is another critical case. I mean, alpha bigger than 2 is, in a sense, the Levy measure is square integrable, so one can expect that it converges to Brownian motion. But when alpha equals 2 case, that is a kind of critical case. It converges to Brownian motion, but we need different scaling. We need extra log epsilon. So with this scaling and with again the centering, it converges to Brownian motion and with a coefficient k 0, which is the average of kappa x and k, z goes to infinity. And when alpha is bigger than 2, then the scaling is usual Brownian scaling and with a recentering. But the limiting Brownian motion is there is a corrector term appears, like the diffusion case, I mean classical diffusion case I showed. So, okay, in the alpha equal 1, alpha equal 2 case, there is no corrector term appearing here. The limiting limiting A, the D times D matrix is just a constant times K0. K0 is just through the average of kappa, so sorry, kappa 0. But when alpha is bigger than 2, corrector term appears. So there is a correction like the diffusion case. And the correction corrector can be represented by the Poisson equation is this P0 bar and P bar. Okay, so that is a main result. So I mean the key point.
Can I ask a question? So, I mean, so you normalize the drift the same for all alphas, right? But then for alpha between 0 and 1, it vanishes in the homogenization.
Yes, yes.
So is there?
That's right. That's right. That is another way.
But is there another renormalization of the drift that maybe there's an interesting limit for, also for alpha between 0 and 1 or something like this?
Yeah. Okay, I can show you. Actually, yeah, this is related to the remark here. So actually, the scaling in the stable regime, you can always scale a recenter using epsilon 1 minus alpha. So in that sense, it is the same. But when alpha is between 0 and 1, this recentering disappears in the end. So you can observe in that way. So in other words, when alpha is between 0 and 1, because the effect of jump is very strong, this drift term disappears as a limit of the homogenization. Whereas when alpha is bigger than or equal to 1, jumping effect is relatively small. So I mean the drift term wins, and you have to recenter as a limit when you take the limit. That is yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Any more questions about the result? I mean example. So the interesting point is that we kind of see the difference depending on the parameter alpha, and we can even clarify the situation at the critical two critical cases: alpha equal 1 and alpha equal 2. Alpha equal 1, we need a slightly different recentering, and alpha equals bigger than alpha equal 2, the scaling is different. And another interesting feature of the result is that, as I said, corrector term appears only when alpha is bigger than 2. So alpha equals 2 case, we still don't see the corrector term as a limit. That is another interesting point. Okay, let me briefly mention some related works. Actually, there are certainly various works on this kind of homogenization of the jump processes, and I briefly list up some of them. So when alpha is bigger than, I mean, in the stable regime, and when alpha is bigger than or equal to 1, when there are some works when the drift term disappears. I mean, the averaging of the drift term disappears. And there are also various results from the analysis side. Arisawa used a corrector method for this kind of problem where, okay, she considers the alpha in principle square integrable case, so alpha bigger than 2 case. And okay, she is working on the as a in the viewpoint of viscosity solution. And there are also nice results by Schwab for fully nonlinear equations. That okay, that's using a corrector method. And when alpha is between 1 and 2, there are also results by Franke. He uses symbols of the Ferrat process and use some limit theory of the semi-martingales. And when alpha is between 0 and 1, Moritz Kassmann and his collaborators did some homogenization result using dual operators. And also, when alpha bigger than 2 case, I mean, square integrable case, Fujiwara and Tomisaki obtained through martingale problem method. Okay, our approach is martingale method, similar to, okay, not completely the same, but similar to Tomisaki's approach. And okay, I'll explain more details in the next section. But basically, what we use these 3 properties. One is the correspond. There exists a strong Markov process corresponding to L via the solution of the martingale problem, and such approach of solution of martingale problem for this kind of non-symmetric Lévy processes has been studied by Chen and Zhang recently. And another property we use is exponential ergodicity, which is a kind of which holds under quite weak condition, mild assumption, because we are on the compact space practically. If X is irreducible and strong Ferrat, for instance, the second condition holds. But this is also important. And the third property is a kind of a priori estimate of the solution of the corrector. I mean, a priori estimate of the corrector. So as I said, corrector is a Poisson's solution of the Poisson equation like this, and we can get this kind of control of the corrector. And I will not discuss details, but in order to verify condition 3, as I said, condition 2 is more or less easy to verify, and condition 1 is also very classical. You know, the martingale solution of martingale problem is a classical result. Okay, for non-symmetric case, this is the results are relatively new, but there are various techniques. And property 3 is most kind of delicate and not very well known for the long-range case. And here we use heat kernel estimate obtained by the same paper by Chen and Zhang for the heat kernel estimate for the operator L. So they prove these kinds of heat kernel estimates, also gradient estimate of the heat kernel. That helps to obtain this kind of a priori estimate of the corrector. So corrector is a Poisson equation. So if you know enough information about the heat kernel, then one can control the solution of this Poisson equation. That is a basic idea. Okay, in order to explain the ideas in more details, and in order to explain the general, I mean, how general the results are, in this section 2, I will explain, I'll give more kind of main result in the general statement and examples. Okay, yeah, as I said, if someone comes later, please download the PDF file. I send through chat. Otherwise, there are many formulas, so it's difficult to see that. Okay, so the main result, the general statement is for this kind of operator. Okay, I am back to the general Levy measure pi. And pi is, we assume the usual integrability for the jump process. So for for big interval, big region, it's square integrable, and a small region, it is integrable. And B is a bounded continuous one periodic. And kappa is a coefficient, bounded coefficient, and assume periodicity and some continuity. And we assume the following three conditions, which actually corresponds to the properties I mentioned before. In that example, of course, we verify these conditions. But in the general statement, we assume the following three assumptions. So one is there exists a solution of the martingale problem. So this is a martingale problem for this generator, the parabolic version of martingale problem. And we assume there exists a solution of the martingale problem. We don't need to assume the uniqueness of the martingale problem, but we need to assume the existence. And the second assumption is the exponential ergodicity I mentioned. And this is, rather weak assumption, as I said, because it's because of the periodicity, it boils down to torus. So reducibility and strong Ferrat property is enough. And the third condition is the a priori estimate of the corrector. So for function f, the solution of this Poisson equation has this kind of estimate. We'll see why this kind of condition is crucial in the argument when I explain the idea of the proof. Okay, so as we already see, there are regimes stable, or there are regimes where there is a regime where the limiting process is jump process, and there is a regime where limiting process is a diffusion. So let me first discuss the regime where the limit process will be jump process. So in this case, we need some more assumptions. So I write down the original operator again here. So we need to assume that the Levy measure can be expressed via the polar coordinate like this. And okay, let's not worry too much about the assumption. We can, this assumption is that we can write down the Levy measure by using the polar coordinate with some assumption. And another assumption is that there exists okay, so phi appears. Phi appears here. Phi is in the typical example. Phi r is r to the alpha. So this is an order of stable process, and we don't need to assume phi alpha to be exactly r to the power alpha, but our assumption is phi alpha is kind of regularly varying, and for large R, it looks the polynomial order is r to the power alpha. So in fact, we can include the case that phi r is r to the power alpha log r, for instance. So multiplying log is allowed in our assumption. And another assumption is that we can average k in some sense. Okay, that assumption is slightly technical, so I will not discuss details. So in this stable, in this regime where limit process will be jumping process, the scaling is given by phi to the 1 over epsilon. As I said, the typical case is phi r is r to the power alpha. So that is this is a natural scaling for us. And okay, so I remark what is a possible limit. So in this regime, as we already see through the examples, as a limit, there is no corrector term appears. So the limiting object, the coefficient will be kind of averaging the coefficients. So this is a candidate of the limiting object. So we rescale the, okay, we rescale the Levy measure. Then, okay, turns out that this kappa term disappears in the end. And because of the assumption phi behaves like alpha stable for long, when R is large, this converges to 1 plus alpha dr theta in the polar coordinate. So as a limit, it converges to alpha stable. But and the coefficient is the average of kappa bar. Kappa bar is the average of kappa. Originally, kappa is a coefficient, but we assume there exists some kappa bar which average kappa in one term, and integrating kappa bar for another term is the candidate of the limit. Okay, let me state the.
Yes. So phi is defined by property 1, and maybe I missed it.
Yes, sorry. Phi is defined in the property 1.
Okay.
So
okay.
phi is given via the density of the Levy measure. Yes.
Okay.
And the property of phi is number 2. Yes. Okay. So the main theorem in the general version is assuming A1 to A3 and 1 to 3. Okay. For 1, A3 is not needed, but for 2 and 3, we need A3 as well. So when alpha is between 0 and 1, the limiting object, the scaling limit is maybe alpha stable process with the generator given by kappa bar. And when alpha is between 1 and 2, as I said, we need a rescaling, but, recentering by this. And the limiting object is alpha stable Levy process, again, with the coefficient given by k bar. And the critical case, alpha equal 1 case, recentering has to be made more carefully. But the limiting object is, again, kappa 0 bar. So this is a main theorem of the stable version. So let us briefly observe how the scaling of the generator can be expressed, and then I'll give a sketch of the proof of this theorem. So by scaling of L, we have the first 2 lines of the scaling of the generator. Okay, but this is not very good because this blue part is not very good because we need to scale by epsilon. So we instead of just considering the drift term by B, we add B bar. Okay, B bar is in some sense by changing this part by the not restricting over z less than 1, and that part appears as B bar. But B infinity. But B infinity is well defined only when 1 over phi alpha is integrable for large R, which is the case when alpha is strictly bigger than 1. And and if this Levy measure does not have a fast moment, then, as I said, we need to put 1 over b to the 1 over epsilon instead of B infinity. So that is why there is slight difference between alpha equal 1 case and alpha bigger than 1 case. So So this is a case when alpha strictly bigger than 1, and this is a case when alpha equals 1 case. So alpha equals 1 case, instead of taking deducing the whole red part, we deduce the red part restricted to z less than 1 over epsilon in order to keep some integrability. So that is why there is a slight difference between alpha equals 1 and alpha less than 1. As I showed, alpha equals 1 case, P infinity is recentering, whereas alpha equals 1 case, P bar 1 over epsilon is recentering. That is related to the first existence of the first moment of pi. Okay, let me explain the sketch of the proof. Actually, when alpha is between 0 and 1, which is the case 1, the proof is relatively easy. So, and kind of standard. So I can already in the two pages, I can explain key ideas. So what we will use is a so-called Dynkin formula. It's a kind of Ito type formula that gives a relation between the process and the generator. Here, tau is a stopping time. This is a classical Dynkin formula. So we apply Dynkin formula. I mean, first we want to prove the tightness of xt epsilon scaled process. So we want to estimate. We want to estimate this this value. I mean, supremum xt epsilon is large, and we want to prove that this is small when r is large. Okay. But because we have a good expression of L, via Dynkin formula, we can estimate this. And okay, first, by choosing FR being a cutoff function, which is 0 in the small ball and which is 1 outside the radius R, then trivially we can bound this from above by constant times this. And by the Dynkin formula, this equation is by Dynkin formula. By Dynkin formula, this is equal to this value. So the estimate of the tightness boils down to the estimate of the generator. Okay, but as I said, the generator is expressed in the precise way. So we control the we estimate every epsilon. I will not discuss details, but one can estimate like this. So when epsilon phi 1 over epsilon goes to 0, then okay, I think this was the leading. This was the leading, the largest order. But even the largest term disappears when epsilon phi 1 over epsilon goes to 0. So we obtain this kind of result. And similarly, we can also obtain that in the small interval, there is no big jump, which is 2.2. And these together implies the tightness of the process. So that is the first step. Okay, so to prove the tightness, we use the Dynkin formula. And the rest is to use the martingale representation, or I mean, martingale solution of martingale problem. So because of the tightness, we know that along subsequence and by changing the probability space, x epsilon n converged almost surely to some process x tilde. So that's what I write. So xn is a subsequence, which is in row to this equal to x epsilon n, and there is a limit x tilde. So we want to guarantee that x tilde is a process whose generator is L bar. Once we prove that, then we know that along any sequence, the limit is a process whose generator is L bar. So we know the uniqueness of the limit. So I mean, we know the convergence of finite dimensional distribution, and we are done. So that's how we want to prove. So we first observe that, sorry, oops, sorry. Okay. So we first observe that by A1, Xn, even the scaled process, we know that Xn tilde is a solution of this martingale problem. So this is equal to 0. And all we need to do is to change this L epsilon n to L bar. So what we want to prove is this red part. And this red part, okay, the first terms are more or less through the via the fact that Xn converge to X tilde. Of course, we need to check various, okay, in order to apply dominant convergence theorem, we need to do some more, but anyway, that is okay. So we need to observe that L epsilon n converge to L bar in some sense. And so what we do, for the purpose, the assumption kappa minus kappa bar goes to 0 weakly is used. So under this assumption, we know that L epsilon converges to L epsilon bar, which is like this. So we can replace L epsilon n by L epsilon bar, sorry, L epsilon n bar. And by the ergodicity, L epsilon bar En can be replaced to L bar. And this X tilde part is also replaced. So altogether, we obtain this fact, which means that X tilde is a solution to the martingale problem L bar. And as I said, along any subsequence, it converges to the process which corresponds to L bar. So the result holds. So as I said, when alpha is between 0 and 1, the argument is relatively standard, just using the martingale method. And A3 is not needed in this case. We didn't use corrector at all. Whereas, okay, I'll very briefly explain most delicate case when alpha equals 1 case. Alpha equals 1 case. So in this case, okay, so we need to, although as a limit, corrector does not appear, when we discuss the scaling, it is convenient to use, I mean, it is useful to use this corrector. So what we do is that we already correct the epsilon, okay, first derivative by this corrector. Okay, we already scaled, so assumption A3 is for before scaling, but by A3, we can find the corrector of the scaled process. So sorry, this should be epsilon. I forget epsilon here. L epsilon psi epsilon is equal to this. And I mean, solution to, I mean, corrector to the L epsilon has a priori estimate by A3, even scaled process. Then what we do is that we add this corrector for the first approximation of psi. I mean, and okay, instead of x epsilon, we consider psi epsilon x epsilon plus drift term. Then use the Dynkin formula again. So the difference to the previous one is we put this kind of correction term of the original of the coordinate, and with this correction we can make a computation as before. I will not discuss details, but you can see what we do is similar, but it requires much more complicated computation because of the corrector. And as before, using Dynkin formula, in order to establish the in order to estimate what we do first is to want to prove the tightness like this. And as before, this supremum is bounded by the generator, integration of generator. So that's what we are doing here. So we need to control this. In this case, we are doing a parabolic version of Dynkin formula. That's why there is a derivative, time derivative appears here. This is a space-time. We consider space-time process and use the Dynkin formula for the space-time process. And this time derivative can be represented by the gradient of f. So all we need is to control this. And here, the effect of corrector naturally appears. So that's why we need assumption. I mean, we need this kind of a priori estimate 2.4. The computation is quite complicated, so I will skip, but under the assumption, we can also prove the tightness. And the strategy is the same. So once we prove the tightness, what we prove is that, okay, starting from this to take limit and to give, to show that the limiting x is a generator, is a process corresponding to the generator. Okay, so that is the idea. And we have various, as I said, since we include cases where phi z is not necessarily polynomial, like including log term, we can obtain result when Lebie kernel includes log term. In that case, naturally, the drift term changes, but we can still obtain the results. And there are other examples we can include. The long region of the Lebie density, Lebie kernel is presented by the jump process whose jumps are only along each axis. Yes, please.
Can I ask a question? So the condition on the corrector that you need to prove, is it the same kind of condition for the inhomogeneous environments? So for diffusion in inhomogeneous environments, or is it different?
Yeah, it's in principle, I mean, of course, the generator is different, but in principle, it's a similar type of, I would say, Poisson solution of the Poisson equation. So in a sense, in the fundamental strategy is kind of similar.
So the strategy of so once you prove the heat kernel from there to get this, is it similar, or is it a lot of technical differences?
It depends how to verify it. Oh, okay, so okay, I should be more precise. I mean, the corrector we use is a solution of this, but whether we need this kind of estimate or not depends on how you prove the result. So in our case, the essential part is to estimate this. So that's why it is natural that the gradient estimate of corrector is needed. But in this approach, using using Dynkin formula is not very useful for the divergence diffusion case. So in such case, it's not always, I mean, what I said is that the corrector we use is similar to the classical ones, but whether we need this kind of estimate or not depends on the method. So that's
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, so we can include various other examples, and depending on phi, the drift term changes. Okay, diffusive case, essentially the idea is similar. Okay, diffusive case, we don't need a rather complicated assumption for the Lebie kernel, like the previous subsection. We just need to assume that the square integrability of pi. Okay, but yes. And okay, the statement is not so, I mean, essentially the same as the example case we just take a recentering by b bar infinity plus p bar, and the limiting object is Brownian motion with a corrector coefficient includes correctors. And you can imagine that the method of the proof is similar. So we use this correct change of coordinate via the corrector and estimate this parabolic generator. In fact, in this case, parabolic generator turns out to be ax over epsilon plus some remainder term which goes to 0. So that's how we can get the limiting one. So I just compare the coefficient of the jump case to the classical coefficients for the diffusion case. So it's more or less by taking similar coefficients here. And lastly, what is rather interesting is a critical case when, namely when alpha equals 2 case. Alpha equal 2 case, we can include, like other cases, we can include, for instance, log. So that's why we state the result by phi r instead of r to the power 2. So the typical case is phi r is r square, but we can discuss something is wrong. R square case, this is not infinity. Okay, maybe sorry. Sorry. Phi r is log r is a typical case. So we already include the scaling square here. So this additional scaling is phi epsilon. So in the example I showed at the section 1, phi epsilon is 1 over epsilon, log 1 over epsilon, something like that. But phi r can be more general. And so here is a condition for phi candidate of phi epsilon. Anyway, under these assumptions, plus A1 to A3, with this decentering and rescaling, it converges to Brownian motion with covariant matrix A. And as I emphasized, this A, there is no corrector term appears in A. And the typical example is the one I showed in previously when alpha equals 2. In that case, phi epsilon is log to the 1 over epsilon. So that's why we have this extra log term appears when we do the scaling. That coincides to the classical situation. I mean, alpha equals 2 case, you always need extra log term for the scaling. But as I said, we can also consider the case, for instance, when the Levy kernel is, Levy density is z to the d plus 2 log z, for instance. In this case, phi epsilon is log epsilon. So the extra scaling turns out to be log. So that we can include various such examples in the critical case. Okay, that's all. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Takashi. Thank you for preparing the talk. Are there any questions or comments?
I have another one, unless someone else wants
Yes.
to ask. So in this technique, can you also add some variation to the environment itself, something like an inhomogeneity, and then this can just change your corrector? So make the random AIJs like
okay. You mean assuming periodicity plus randomness. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. If if the randomness is nice enough, so then it shouldn't change the heat kernel too much, and then it seems like it should work, right?
Yeah. Okay. Usually, when we consider randomness, we need to assume stationary ergodic. So in the compact regime, it's not so exciting. But you can put the randomness there as long as this condition A1 to A3 can be verified. Yes. But okay, what is more challenging is to, instead of considering periodic media, to consider, for instance, this coefficient kappa being stationary ergodic and consider in the whole region. But then I don't know, there are many, quite challenging questions appear. But I think even that case, the principal direction would be similar. I mean, to consider corrector when alpha is bigger than 1, and the corrector probably appears as a limit when alpha is bigger than 2. That kind of picture may stay, but of course, technically, that will be a very challenging question.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Sorry, can you show the last page once more? The last page of your lecture.
This one, yes.
No. Oh, okay.
Yeah, as I said, as a critical case, we can, I mean, D+2 is the most classical critical case, but you can multiply log, or if you like log or some extra term, as long as the phi behaves, the polynomial term of the phi behaves like R2
Sorry, in example 4 is the same A as in the example 3, yes?
Yes. So A is, sorry, I didn't state, but the limiting object is the same. Yeah, I mean, the 3 lines should be copied here. Yes. So interesting point is that in this critical case, no corrector appears as a limit in the limit. Although we need to use a corrector in the proof.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask if you go back to, I think it was example 1 or 2, where you had a square integrability. Maybe example 2. So, well, pi was square integrable, right? Yes. I'm not sure if this is that. So maybe it was general. Maybe example.
This one, yes.
Yeah, this theorem too. Yes, exactly.
This one, yes. I didn't write the example.
So does it? All right. So does it mean that? Right. Z squared pi is integrable. So does it mean that? So we actually correspond to alpha equal 2, or to which alpha do we correspond?
This case is alpha bigger than 2.
Alpha bigger than 2.
Yes, alpha bigger than 2 case, it is square integrable. Alpha equals 2 is
because
the critical, that case, it's still infinity. And alpha bigger than 2 case, this Levy measure is finite, strictly bigger than 2.
So why doesn't alpha appear somehow in the result, in the scale? I mean,
this is, I mean, it's, even in the classical random walk case, this is similar. Even if you have very long range jumps,
yes,
as long as this jumping kernel has square integrability, the limiting process is a diffusion. I mean, Brownian motion.
I see.
That is, even the classical random walk that is known. So square integrability will be the key to have a limit to be diffusive.
I see. So alpha, I should think of it as alpha. Alpha is responsible for the tail, right?
Yes, exactly.
So
exactly.
so this condition it corresponds to alpha greater than 2, and therefore.
Exactly. Yes. So, sorry, I should have emphasized more. Yes.
Oh,
So
okay.
it somehow corresponds to the classical result if you consider very long range random walk with jumps, and as long as the random walk has square integrability, then I mean, yeah,
then you should converge to Brownian motion.
Yes, that's right.
I see. And if so there is a critical value at alpha equal 1, but isn't there also a critical value at alpha equal 2?
Yes, alpha equal 2 case is the last part. This is a critical case. So that is example.
So these examples 3 and 4 are.
Yeah, and 4, yes. So
are alpha equal
case,
2.
Yeah, classical case, if you consider random walk with long range random walk with coefficients d plus 2, then you have to scale extra, not epsilon square, but epsilon square log epsilon to have Brownian motion. That is a critical.
I see.
And that coincides to this result coincides to such classical result, at least example 3.
Okay, that was very helpful.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, so we thank Takashi again, and thank you very much for
thank you.
preparing the talk.
Yeah,
and,
thank you for that.
Next time physically in Israel.
Yeah, let's hope, or in Kyoto.
Or in Kyoto.
Yes. Yeah, we are looking forward to the day that we can meet face to face. Okay, so please stay healthy and.
You too. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Very
Thank you
interesting.
very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, and it was also it was useful for me to see in the end the correspondence with the classical results. I think it's
okay. Yeah.
Now it seems natural. It was.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.